Welcome to the Squarebase Show. In this emergency podcast, we are going to be covering the FAQ in 2026. Oh, my God.
Wow, Rob, it happened.
Your best Thunderbirds impression there. That was fantastic.
That's right. It's like, yeah, I need someone to shake the camera so it can be like the Bridge of the Enterprise when we have emergency podcasts.
Oh my goodness. So the much rumored FAQ released on the day we exactly expected it to be released is fantastic. Very cool. It is it does encompass a update to the Warhammer Old World rulebook, Ravening Hordes, Forces of Fantasy, and the armies of Grand Cathay.
Grand Cathay.
Grand Cathay.
Which is outside of Ravening Hordes and Forces of Fantasy. So cool.
It is. So we're going to be going through these in detail and in minutia, which is very exciting. But I'm going to just quickly let you all know kind of what we're going to be looking at, because I've already read through all this, so we should have some good insights. So there are some core rules changes, but none of them are overly impactful. The only impactful one, in my opinion, or the most impactful one, or the most problematic one that we're going to be needing to talk about, is going to be the fact that baggage trains are now impassable.
That's interesting. Yes.
Because this creates a unfortunate series. I think tournament organizers, if you're a tournament organizer, or even if you're playing with your friend, unfortunately, there's a lot of janky shenanigans that you could do with that, which is unnecessary. So probably you need to, I've been already kind of throwing the ideas out there on what to, it's only been released for 2 hours, but the melting pot of ideas on what needs to happen. As an example, here is an image I drew earlier in trying to work some things out. That should give you some clear indication of what needs to happen. So core rules changes. Then there has been big nerfs to Grand Cathay, which is the first thing we're going to cover, right? Because I think that's something you're excited about.
I think this whole thing will be judged through the lens of Grand Cathay, right? So let's see what happened there for sure.
Yes, on the video that I just put up on Patreon, I said that the thing that I think would happen if this had just dropped and the Cathay thing, like, let's say Cathay was never released and this was just the FAQ, everyone would be like, this feels like not much. But with Cathay, it feels like a lot. But there's also, in the Forces of Fantasy, there's also, I would say, some pretty big nerfs to Britonia. You got a big change to the Duke, or the Royal Pegasus, is now no longer skirmisher and can only have a 3-up save and can't join units. So these are all big negatives. There's that. A big nerf to them. Also, they clarified you can't get real ones on the charge. So it feels like a Britonia nerf, a Cathay nerf, a Beastman nerf, because we've made it so Viletide is now 1 point higher. It's not an 8 to cast, now 9 to cast. So the big hitters, or at least some of the big hitters outside of Renegades and Legends, which is the next point to make, I think have had kind of balance updates. Whereas I don't think anything has been brought up particularly, but these, we'll talk about this at the end. Nothing's been particularly brought up. There's basically the main talking points. And then Legends, no news, no information, nothing about Legends.
All aboard the Renegade train, Rob. All aboard the Renegade train.
Which is the pack that Val writes to both balance and also clarify how to use the unsupported legacy factions from Games Workshop.
I think to be clear, it is a vibes-based endeavor to not necessarily bring balance, but to bring the right vibe.
Justice,
to, the legacy arm, justice for the Renegades. Make them feel like they used to feel, like make them be on the tabletop like you might imagine them if you, for example, use them in Total War Warhammer, which 85% of us did. By the way, the big Warhammer survey probably going to come out, I don't know, maybe next week, maybe later this week. Okay. So let's let everyone absorb this FAQ and then get ready to answer some pointed questions about how you feel about Warhammer, the old world.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited. So we're going to dive straight in, and we are going to look at the changes to Cathay. So if you are new to the old world and for some reason been living under a rock, Cathay have been a little bit OTT, prompting many tournament organizers to do things
and
such
if you're
as...
not from the United Kingdom, OTT means over the top.
Oh, I apologize.
And I only know that because my homeroom teacher in grade 9 of high school was British.
Likely to be a nautical term.
He accused me of being a little OTT. So there you go.
Wow. In English.
Triggering.
In English, he swore at you. Just so you know.
Oh, I know.
I think it might be a nautical term. It turns out basically every term in the English language is a nautical term, but I don't know.
Over the top? I thought it was an arm wrestling term.
Maybe from midships. I don't know. Okay, so Cathay have been a little bit too good, prompting many tournament organizers to comp them so that they're not playable or like you can't use them as well. That has not stopped them from winning as many events as Vampire counts have. So, but as an official publication, we've wanted Games Workshop to do something about this, and we are taking the first look at what they have done. So, do you want to do these one at a time?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's rock, because this is all brand new stuff. They have not touched Cathay yet.
No.
And so this is a welcome and awesome. All right, so page 30. Cathay and Warhouse delete first charge from the list of special rules.
Interestingly, this is only on the Gatemaster, because even though the Jade Lancers are riding Cathay and Warhorses, those Cathay and Warhorses do not have the first charge rule. So it's only on the Gatemaster that they have deleted this from. So the Gatemaster on Cathay and Warhorse no longer gets the first charge.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
And does that negate it if he were to be part of a unit of Jade Lancers?
It's just gone. It's just gone. Yeah, like
I just mean, does the whole unit have to have it? Like, that's the question.
It's a great question. That's a great question. But neither of the units have it, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, I see. Oh, I get it. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, and only one model needs it. Yeah, for sure.
I get it. Got it.
Okay.
My bad.
No. Great question. Next up, so the balloon. That seems like not much before we get into the big news. In the balloons have gone down from toughness 5 down to toughness 4.
Okay.
They no longer have a champion. They're no longer unbreakable, and they are flammable. And then we've got a disengage rule we'll talk about in a minute. So how are you feeling about that?
Do they know what flammable means? Because I think they think it means dry as dust.
I think they think it means dry as dust, but it doesn't. So flammable means they can no longer get a regeneration saves if they're attacked by flaming attacks, which I guess means there's a way to get rid of a triple save balloon, which maybe is the thing they're dealing with.
Yeah, that is, yeah. So they're trying to remove the regen off the character version of this. But I mean, it's kind of funny though, because the base version of a balloon that does not interact with this at all.
Yes.
It does not have regeneration.
Yeah, I would say actually this entire FAQ feels like an attempt at verisimilitude, an attempt at like realism versus maybe an attempt at balance. So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, flammable doesn't do what it means, but dry as dust should be what it is. The next rule, disengage. So disengage was a bad rule, but it doesn't matter what it did. Let's talk about what it does now. I think that's a good thing to talk about. Should this model lose a round of combat and give ground, it may choose to fall back in good order instead. Enemy units can follow up as if the model had given ground. So disengage as a rule. Should this model lose a round of combat and give ground, it may choose to fall back in good order instead. Enemy units can follow up as if this model had given ground, moving 2 inches directly towards it, but cannot pursue it. So let's just stop there for a moment. How do you feel about that part?
So they can. Okay, that's interesting. Still makes them quite. Should this model lose a combat give ground, it may choose to fall back in good order instead. So, okay. So, yeah, if it gets the less bad version of it, it allows it to drift away. So it kind of limits it to what, one outcome where it can run away without recourse?
Yeah, but because it no longer is unbreakable, it obviously is only unit strength 5. So it being double outnumbered, I think, is probably quite likely. So, little chaff like kind of horse units, which definitely now can do some legitimate damage to it when it's only toughness 4. Can do some good work to it. But like I think one of the things I like about this is they went, yeah, okay, sure. Obviously before we messed up, but we do want this balloon to be very mobile. We do want it to do something that's very movement centric and movement orientated. And so therefore I like that, because actually most of the time I don't think it's ever going to win combat because now it's not unbreakable, so it's going to lose combat a lot. It's then a give ground is risky, but also double outnumbered likely. So now it's just running away. So I actually think that it's a nice rule, but it doesn't want to fight anything scary, right?
Yeah. And it also just means that it can be caught, right? Like that's, I think, the biggest thing.
Yes.
So not only can it be just caught from like if a buy goes and falls back in good order, which there'll be scenarios where that does happen. But you can actually chase this thing down, which will be I think probably a good source of potentially killing it. And yeah, toughness 4 I think honestly is a decent nerf to it. Still tons of wounds. It's still very cheap. So is this is there more?
Yeah. Only to this rule. In addition, should it win a round of combat and choose to restrain and reform, this model may choose to fall back in good order rather than remaining where it is. So again, it's giving this idea of being able to be quite mobile as a unit, which I think is good, which is now doesn't have the ability to accept challenges because there's no champion. It's toughness 4. It's not unbreakable. And it's got a couple of options. So it feels like, while I agree with you, it's a lot of wounds, it does feel like a piece that's going to be messing around with skirmish style units and no longer is going to be blocking big smashy bricks with its unbreakable toughness 5.
Yeah. My other big question is, have we done anything to address the output? Because I mean, the other big thing about it was the fact that it could just delete massive chunks of the opponent's armies quite effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. The Sky Lantern bombs have been changed to once per game. So as previously you could Sky Lantern bomb stuff every turn, you can now only do it once per game. They haven't addressed or changed the guns in any way, for their output, and their output is okay, genuinely okay. The output. But I think the bombs only being once per game is I think a good change. So they're weaker, can't accept challenges, not unbreakable. I think can be double outnumbered pretty easily, and their output is lower. That is the balloon change in total. That's everything that's happened. And also Dragonfire bombs are now strength 3. So Sky Lantern bombs are once per game, and Dragonfire bombs are strength 3.
Okay. And then, but yeah, they're still pretty easy to get off. You don't have to fly over something. That's good. I mean, basically, I don't want to say that this. Okay, this is a lot. Like, so first of all, I want to acknowledge. I want to acknowledge that this is not a do nothing FAQ or errata on the lantern. The lantern's still very, very good. We're still talking 140 points for 7 wounds. Incredibly mobile. You compare that to like any cavalry model on a per wound basis, like that's very good. We add a character to it, and it's just a very, very good platform still. But they did take away, I think, some of the harshest edges. I think I will grant them that. Damage output's still there. It just feels like now it now might have enough interactivity. Do you feel like that might be true? That
Absolutely.
It's interactive enough that like an opponent can maybe feel like they're in the fight against it.
Yeah, I'm running an event this weekend, and I've been writing the pack, and I've taken the restrictions off balloons. We'll see. Maybe if you over egg it and you try and take 4 or 5. I mean, I think like even just regular ballistic skill shooting is going to be okay with a toughness 4. A toughness 4 unit now to deal with at range. I think that's okay. They are cheap. They're still very cheap compared to other things you can. It's kind of like a Dragon Ogre situation, where Dragon Ogres is just cheap for what you get compared to basically everything else in the game. In many ways.
Compare this to like any heavy chariot, right? Like any heavy chariot. It's wild.
Yeah.
How much you get for the points. I think there's probably like if I could say I still think there should be a restriction on the character version of it, likely, because I mean the flammable thing to like take away the regeneration part is all well and good, but flaming attacks are not exactly super common out there. Fireball does wound on a 4+ now. That's kind of cool. But you know what I mean? Like I think that to me always the maximum feel bad is when you take a good unit and then you stack all of those character buffs and protections on top of it. because you're adding the ability for it to hide in challenges back. You're layering another 2 saves on top of it. It does feel like, because the points value hasn't been adjusted, I think this does a lot to fix just your standard special or rare lantern, and I think that's awesome. I think we're still going to feel pretty not great about the character version of this, but that's my take.
Okay. I think it's going to be easier to take down, and I think that's going to change some significant elements. But we'll see for sure.
We'll see.
We'll see. I think not being unbreakable is also fairly big, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's enough, and I think what's so important is that it's not more. Like, because like, it seems now we had an FAQ 6 months ago, we had an FAQ 6 months later. If these are still just causing us all an issue, I'm sure they want to sell a bunch. You know, if tournaments all across the country still are restricting to you can only play 1 or 2, they'll change it again so that it's something people can play. So I genuinely believe that. Okay, so next up, the Ogre Loader. So there's also been in the core rules an FAQ. They specifically called out the Orc Bully, but what they really meant to say was, I'm talking about the Ogre Loader.
Yeah, that's because the Orc Bully, for whatever reason, they didn't give him the same errata as the Ogre Loader. There's a lot of that in this, by the way, where like, I'm so thankful, by the way, rules writers, Games Workshop, SDS, thank you for doing erratas. Thank you for fixing rules and changing things. But if you're writing an FAQ that changes how a rule is read, just errata the rule instead. And that's what happened with the Orc Bully. Anyway, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. That's no. So okay. But yeah, well, I mean, you could read it if you want to, but this one is just delete the character from the troop type, and also for mercenary crew, the Ogre Loader basically is part of the machine. If you kill the crew, you kill the Ogre Loader. Yeah. Which I think a lot of people are really happy about. Personally, I'd FAQ'd it so that it becomes its own little independent character, runs around. That also made you have to answer like 17 other questions as well. So this is much cleaner, it's neater, it's correct. But I do love the idea of the Ogre just having not a job anymore. Do you know what I mean? Him being free. Yeah. Okay.
Free to go get some snacks. Like,
pick up some carrots. Like, that was good.
And it's kind of fun to just have a random free agent ogre zipping around. I agree. Actually, I thought the Ogre Loader was fun as a potential situation where he got free from the cannon. He was running around. I agreed with that interpretation. This, however, like you say, a lot cleaner, less brain meltingly confusing. So yeah, I'm super okay with it. It's a little bit of a loss of flavor, but not that big a deal.
Okay, so we've also got some changes to, I mean, there's a bunch of changes to magic items, which are good. But the first one is the standard of a Wei-Jin, which was previously a 40-point banner, now going up to a 60-point banner, which...
clearly it must be very good.
Yeah, well, it gives the unit fear, and also it reduces down the leadership tests for fear and terror checks for units within like 12 inches. I think it going up to 60 means maybe it can't go on things like Jade Lancers and infantry blocks now. So I think that's
a BSB.
Yeah, it'd be like a BSB sort of situation. I don't think it's a super big deal, but a standard Wei-Jin is now 20 points more expensive.
I wonder if maybe there was some Cathay tech that was underneath the obvious Cathay tech where this was being used a lot. I don't necessarily know of it as something particularly special. Anyway. Cool. Sorry, standard of Wei-Jin.
Sorry. Yeah.
Barely knew you. Barely knew you.
Barely knew you. So the icon of Heavenly Fury has gone up from 35 points to 45 points, which is the banner of you can't fly, right? But,
okay, yeah.
So they've made it 10 points more expensive.
This was the Skaven one, right? Was this the Skaven one?
Yeah. It's the Skaven one, but they then added like 2 restrictions as well. Number 1, you have to do a leadership test. You previously didn't have to. Number 2, you also cannot be in combat in order to use it. Both of those were not restrictions before. And then it turns off the fly rule until the next turn. So that's what they've done. They've made it 10 points more expensive, probably just to bring it in line with all the other banners or anything else that does something similar. And then they've added some very standard restrictions onto it. Whereas previously it was just like, activate. You're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and this was already one use, I assume?
Already one use, yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right. Yeah, the leadership tests thing is, I guess, a pretty standard element of this. It's funny that they went from like you get it all the time on a unit with veteran, it always works, to like all the rest of the version, like since then being like it sort of works some of the time, is very expensive. There's probably like a middle ground that could have maybe gotten discovered there, but that's fine.
Yeah. The next one, the Dragon Eye banner. This previously, if you were the target of a spell, you could make it go onto a different unit on a 3+. So they've just changed this, so now it's a 4+ versus a 3+. Right. So nerfed it a little bit.
Skid up, die. Oh, I've been married a long time ago.
You're not bothered about that one. Okay, good. More shard change to 50 points, and no one cares.
It's Dragon Eye Joe. I was going with it's Dragon Eye Joe reference. Anyway, yes, Moss Shard.
Moss Shard's just gone up points. I think it's gone up 10, and that's not important. The important part is Alchemist Mask, where this was previously the bound power level 3 Plague of Rust that the army had. So you had a magic item that gave you a bound power level 3 Plague of Rust. It's now gone down to power level 1.
Okay.
Great.
Right. So that's just directly as a response to how basically all of the bound items got adjusted in 1.5. Almost all of them got reduced to like a bound level 1 or so.
Correct.
So that's in line with everything else. That's fantastic.
And then Law of Yin and also the Cathay Lances is just literally typo fixing, because in the core book it says Law of Yin, it actually says it's Law of Yang. And Cathay Lances also just needed to be clarified in their notes section. That's all. So no changes there. And then Dragonfire Bombs are strength characteristic 3 for the balloon, which we discussed.
Okay. Already. And then I assume that comes down from 4?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right.
So yeah, then we get to the Arcane Journal and some of the other kind of like standout problems for Cathay. So Ring of Jet, which previously was a common magic item, which gave you access to unquiet spirits from the Law of Necromancy, has now gone down to power level 1 and is also not an extremely common magic item.
Okay, that's very good.
The Ring of Jet spam was the build, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's very good. I mean, and that also opens up, I think, a bit of the vulnerability that current Cathay has, which is to sort of ethereal units. Ring of Jet was a way of absolutely just nuking nuking anything that was sort of immune to everything except magical attacks. So that is interesting.
Yeah.
I do like this change. I'm more interested broadly that they kept the sort of the common magic items, so the asterisk items, because in general they do seem to cause some problems. But anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's good. I think that personally, I'm super happy about that. Like they're at least addressing it. It feels like the whole FAQ, they're just addressing like big hitters, and they're like, we're just gonna like let that happen. And then we got some FAQs. Oh my god!
What is the seal of Jingpo?
So the FAQs. First one, Heavenly Beacon allows you to modify the roll by +1 or -1 when rolling to determine the ambushes arrive. Is this cumulative? And the answer is no. It is not cumulative, no matter how many Sky Lanterns you have on the board.
This is an example, guys. That's an errata. That's an errata. You just do the errata. You don't do an FAQ here. Anyway, continue.
That's fine.
But that's fine, I guess. That does make keeping your entire army off the table indefinitely, like because you could do like one balloon and then have ambushing Jade Lancers. Just never expose your core to the table until you absolutely needed to. So that is nice.
The next one is something that I think everyone has had FAQ since the beginning, or at least I have at my events, which is, are the effects of the Grand Cannon's Thunderous Impact Special roll cumulative? In other words, if a unit is within range of 2 strike points, does it suffer a -2 to its movement characteristic? And the answer is no, it's not cumulative. I once saw a guy not play a game here, but tell me about how they played a game at a previous event, and their units were dwarves and they couldn't move anywhere. They were like -3. And I was like, why would you play at that event? Like, what are you doing? Anyway, not cumulative, which I think most people have adopted or had adopted.
I'd say that was a very common one.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd say like yes, and that's across the board. Pretty much everywhere arrived at some form of a like cap or restriction on balloons, non-stacking of the cannons. A few others would go so far as to remove the common element to the Jade amulet, but those were sort of the most common ones you'd see out there.
Yes. Yeah. And the last one, Mastery of Elemental Spirits, Mastery of Elemental Winds can only be used once per turn, but this once per wizard or once per army. And the answer is once per army. This is where you're able to get +1 to cast on your casters. So previously, I think people were using it as once per wizard to get +1 to cast on each wizard. But no, it's just once per army for one singular instance of +1 to cast.
Yeah. Again, that's an errata, but fair enough.
Yeah.
And that definitely says once per turn, a wizard within your army. So anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So that is everything for Cathay. So just to recap for us all, we've got slightly reduced magic output because of both changes to bound magic items and also casting value from what we just talked about. Magic defense is reduced thanks to the Dragon Eye banner going down. Balloons defense and output is weaker, and some very chosen magic items also went up points as well, and some really broken things, if you ever let anyone play with it, also FAQ'd. That's the everything and all of it. What do you think?
I think the first question is going to be, is it enough? Right. And I think some folks are going to say no, it's not enough. I think, and I wonder if I doubt there's any Cathayan players who are weeping right now, which is good. I think that's nice. I think that Cathay, as far as a nerf is concerned, I would have loved to see this August 1st. This would have been a great place to have gotten to 6 months ago to see if this is still not enough, right? But we won't be able to see that for a little while. Like I said, I think the biggest thing that I think Cathay suffered from, as far as like, is this a game I want to play, is interactivity. Like, was there an ability for your opponent to interact with the units that you put down on the table? Almost everything that they did to the balloons, I'd say, makes that more possible now. And so that immediately it takes them from like a really just kind of indefensible, like this is too much kind of unit, to now it's a very good unit. It's incredibly cheap, guys. Like, it's incredibly cheap. Like, for the amount of wounds that you get, the amount of rules that you get, the amount of damage output that you get, it is still incredibly cheap at toughness 4 even, right? Like, it's just, compared to cavalry, compared to a heavy chariot, it's wild. So I would say that's a thing. So we're gonna have to, as a community, see, like Rob was mentioning earlier, that he wants to probably take all the restrictions off of them. Maybe. I think we need to look also to see like what kind of restrictions are inherent into a list. I think it was something like you could bring 6, right? I think you could cram 6 into 2,000 points.
It costs you £600 as well, but
it was. Yeah, that's right. Or 1,200 Canadian. Yeah, they're about $200 Canadian.
Yeah.
So like, but people, like they could sack that away. They could do one a month or whatever and get there. So like, that still feels like a lot of one thing. But overall, I would say that they really responded, I think, to the things that the community highlighted as being not fun, like not good play experiences, and stuff that was overwhelming and seemingly like out of line with the 1.5 updates, like the bound items and things. So I want to be like standing ovation for this again if it was 6 months ago. As we are today, we'll see if it's enough, and we have a whole new Army of Infamy, whole new book of stuff coming. Assuming in the next couple of months, that was announced already for Cathay. So how fast will they react to that book, and was that book written with changes like this in mind? We're gonna have to find out. So that's where I'm at. I'm at a tepid. I'm at a like, okay, this is probably a really good start. I think this probably makes Cathay more fun to play against. They're probably still, top of the pops or close to it.
I'm very excited. I think it's good changes. I think they're not too aggressive, which is good because, again, Like I said, when it first came out, like there was never going to be a situation where you're going to get this FAQ 6 months ago. That isn't either how Games Workshop or SDS works, as an example. Like in the big common games, the very best you're going to get is 3-month changes. Every 3 months, they're going to look at the balance patches. For Old World and SDS, it's just 6. And I think there's a lot of people in the community who are like, I quite like that. And actually, as we kind of get towards the end of this, we'll see that actually there aren't a lot of changes in this FAQ, with the exception of Cathay and maybe Bretonia. So, like, you know, and I think a lot of people will be fairly happy about that. Because people kind of like it be consistent. I think there's this duality between like tournament competitive play and also people's general experience. And I think this errata has done a good job of maybe making it so all those new people who went and picked up that box over the summer and maybe have only just finished hobbying it, to be honest, can now put it on the table and be like, oh, I kind of scraped through the bad times, which is nice. But yeah, I would obviously like to see slightly more reactive stuff. I would have liked to have seen it maybe 3 months ago. I think that would have been really healthy. And then I would have go on.
All I was going to say is that like there are examples in the past of stuff being released that was just not healthy for the game, or people's attitudes for the game, that were reacted to much faster. Honestly, the real answer here is don't release stuff in this condition. Well, that's the real answer, guys. Do a little bit more quality control, put a little more invest more. This is a management issue. Invest more upfront, so that way when you release a product, it's not going to hurt the reputation of your game. That's what Cathay did. We should have been like it should have been a slam dunk, celebratory, awesome win for Old World, for the people actually playing the game. It probably was for model sales and all that kind of stuff, but for those playing the game, it was a big old wet blanket. It was a super big bummer.
And for anyone who's been into Games Workshop stuff for any amount of time, that's never going to happen. So, like, let's all just
oh yes, but I think we should say that out loud, because I think we get caught up in this, like, oh well, they're patching it too much, or like they're patching it not enough, or whatever, right? Like, the issue is that they release it in crappy condition. That's the real issue. We shouldn't need to be debating whether or not a patch every 3 months is necessary or every 6 months. Like, it should be getting close enough to good order when it releases, is my main thing. Because people talk about how like the tournament players are ruining the game because they need all these erratas and it's making my book out of date and all this stuff. It's like, no, just shut up, guys. Just make the rules tighter. Do a better job up front. That's all.
Yeah, and make the models cheaper. Make the models cheaper. And
SDS already has the best,
and easier to build.
Well, that's different. I don't know about that. But SDS, as we know, already best bang for your buck. SDS. We can't be critical there within Games Workshop. So
okay, all right.
We got to give some credit.
We are giving credit.
I'm at with this.
Okay, you did an update. Good job. You probably didn't even need to, and everyone would have bought just as much stuff from you the next time around. Just FYI. So we're gonna go. Okay. All right, cool. All right, okay. the only thing going against you is all of history. Right, so what we got is the FAQ and errata for the Forces of Fantasy, and also from the Ravening Hordes. Which one would you like to look at first, sir?
Well, I think now, if you
want to do the homework, do you want to do core rules?
I think we go do our homework now. We go core rules now. Yeah, I think Cathay was the lead, and I think they did just enough. I think that's good. I think it's, you know what? The game is worth reading more about. Here we go. They passed the first test. Let's see what else they did here.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go to the core rules. First thing they talked about is Frenzy. Specifically, Frenzy does not confer a +1 attack modifier on the charge to models' mounts, whether that be a beast, a cavalry, or a chariot. No +1 to those.
Okay.
That's more.
That wasn't clear before. I didn't know if that was clear before.
I think so. Cool. Especially Beastmen. You saw some people trying to play Beastmen chariots as conferring +1 attack onto like the attacks. That was a thing. But now no longer, or at least clearer.
Okay. This is interesting. The charge condition, by the way, of Frenzy stays there. That was one that I think a lot of people were hoping would be removed. Because Frenzy already has the built-in downside of having to charge and all that kind of stuff. So now, you still have to make the charge to get +1 attack, which, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is. Poison attacks. If a model with poison attacks rolls a natural 6 or making a roll to hit, may apply a +2 modifier to that hits to wound roll.
Nice.
Nice.
So this was unmuddying the way basically the pools of wounds would work. And so this just makes it clear that if it's that model's hit, not like it doesn't go into a generic pool of hits and wounds. Anyway, this is just a little clarification there. That's good.
We love that. They have also updated the unstable, specifically to, you cannot use regeneration saves against them.
So, question: does anything else get this addendum?
No.
All right, so that means regen on Dangerous Terrain, right?
Depending on how your TO rules it.
I guess, but this would be the only one clarified. So I suspect that means the other interactions with lose a wound means you get your regen save now. But I don't know. That's just what I'm saying.
I think that's worth it. We've had an update to Stupidity.
Okay.
So, unless it is fleeing or engaged in combat, a unit with this special rule must test for Stupidity by making a leadership test during the start of turn subphases of each of its turn. And the important clarity here is that things you cannot do, you cannot move except to flee. Because previously you could move and you could not flee. But now you cannot move except to flee.
Yeah, actually, I think before it was could not move for any reason on the updated Stupidity. So they were just like planted there. So yeah, they couldn't run away if they wanted to, which actually I kind of like the idea of them just being like picking their nose bowling pins. Mm-hmm. I also don't know if this is actually a clarification or not, but I know at some point in the game there was confusion of whether or not Stupidity was a leadership test. And so like could you use like Inspiring Presence and that kind of stuff. So this, I think, blatantly says that it is a leader, like a Stupidity test is a leadership test. So that's good. Mm-hmm. So anything that applies or buffs a leadership test can apply here, which is great. Right now, I think in the square-based FAQ, we took the could not move for any reason, at least the way I had ruled it on that FAQ, as like that they mean it literally, because they usually do mean things literally. And it still seems to be quite literal, except for one condition, which is to flee. So interesting.
Perfect. A good change. Nice clarity. I think, and helping us all learn a little bit more. Okay, so woodland boundaries. Effectively, what this says is you can no longer, so if you take a forest, you can no longer tow a single model in, a little goblin, little tow, and then benefit from cover. You have to have more than half of the models in a unit or more than half of a model's base of a unit in a forest in order to benefit from cover. Okay, or partial cover specifically. Yeah, which is good. Like, this is what I mean. I think once we, like, as I've been reading through these, I've just been like, okay, when you look at that physically makes sense. And that feels like that's what they're trying to do here. Like, this is not an FAQ around, maybe even an FAQ that would be what we talked about earlier, a challenging thing for them as a department to even put together. Because when someone goes, can you balance this for tournament play? And they're like, hey guys, we're like, it's not really what we made or what we thought we made. So you're asking us to do, you're asking us to speak French when we've only got German in the house, right? So
yeah, and they're not playing. They're not like us, right? This isn't their single. I mean, you've got 3 or 4 or 5 games that you obsess over and play with great detail. For me, this is the only thing I think about, pretty much, like, period. So, like, they've moved on to other jobs, right? Like, they like, even if they did want to, like, tighten it up, every time they come back to do a project like this, I bet they have to kind of relearn where things are, which is where something like a good playtest team would come in, which is where someone with that specific job might come in. But if it's the studio, the original writers coming back all the time, like, these guys are, like, years ahead of us at this point, right? So
yeah. They're probably writing backwards. Second edition, right? Or halfway through, or maybe it's done and they're doing books.
Yeah, I mean, they who knows with it, but yes, actually, I would agree with that statement. One thing I have is if you're shooting, let's say you're towed in to the woods, and someone's shooting at you through the woods, you would still get your cover there because
you're not towed in. Like, you would get cover from being behind a wood, or you can't be seen, right?
Well, no, if you're not towed, like, so, like, say your unit is just like the base is just touching the edge of the wood, like we often will do, so that they have line of sight through the wood. Someone shooting through the entirety of that wood at that unit would still, I assume, be obscured by terrain. And this maybe just gives them the, I don't know. It just seems strange to me that like a unit that is like clearly obscured by the wood may not be obscured by the wood in certain situations.
I understand. Well, this is what it says though, so good. And I love that. All right.
Okay. Great.
the big drama for me at least, baggage trains changed. They are now impassable. That is it. But are ignored for the purposes of line of sight. And maybe this is just a video I should go into, like, you know, or get crazy into. But effectively, like I did in my stupid picture, imagine. So this, for setting up baggage trains, it's got to be 3 inches away from the board edge. That's the only restriction that's currently inside of it. So there's an example. I'll draw one here. So let's say this blue building I'm just drawing in the middle is a building. Then I decide to put the baggage train out, and then in between that, I decide to put a character. Well, as you can see, it's quite challenging to try to charge that character, and I definitely can't do that with a large brick of something. It'll have to be quite small, right? Then there's also, you know, sticking it in the corner, sticking a character behind it, and then, you know, maybe they're using them for something and it doesn't block line of sight. But so I don't know. I think there's some interesting things here. I don't really know why it needed to be like impassable. I think everyone was pretty comfy with it being what it was.
I think that's, well, one thing is you can't just stand on top of it now. So you wouldn't be able to prevent someone from being able to destroy your baggage train by just having a unit with a footprint big enough to just block the whole thing. I think that would be one major.
I'm genuinely super tempted to just ignore this. Like, I think I don't know what it brings, and it only seems to open up a Pandora's box of issues.
I also suspect that it has a lot to do with the fact that a baggage train is a 3-dimensional model, and so like people were having trouble, like,
well, people are building amazing ones, right? People are building the most amazing baggage trains. They looked ace, and I do kind of like the idea that they saw them and they were like, hey, we should make it so no one can stand on that. That's wicked.
Yes, I think that honestly, that feels like probably the more likely source of motivation for this, is that like, oh, now you need to have a flat template for your baggage train because you made a cool baggage train, right? So now you don't. But I think the points that you made are fair, but also, I don't know, that's kind of some fun jank. Why not? Who cares? You can still see him. You can still see him. So like you can still shoot at him. He's not going to have any character protection necessarily if he's back there, because line of sight's still there. Especially, but there are going to be cases like that corner one you just did there, where it's like going to be very hard to get whoever that is. So maybe there is a specific case.
Can I? Because it doesn't block line of sight. So can I just put the baggage train there, and then can I just put my cannons behind it? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just, it feels like, like definitely something I'm going to look at, and I'm going to try and do the worst case scenario I can. And if I hate it, I'm just going to not have it myself.
But also the baggage train dies in one turn, right? So like if someone's in contact with it for a turn,
which you can only do, the only way you can do that though is via moving onto it. You can't overrun onto it. Like, so actually it requires 2 turns to do it.
Maybe that's the better place to make an adjustment. Maybe we could, maybe because I don't know if they're necessarily aware of how and that's also so arbitrary and silly. It should just be like if you move into contact rather than like in the remaining moves phase, you move into contact, which I think is how it is. So like random movers can't do it.
No.
So I think that's probably an oversight. So maybe that I'd be open to that, like maybe clarifying that portion of the rules so that way it's not so silly and arbitrary when you can destroy a baggage train, and then leave it as impassable, because then you can do fun, weird, janky things with it.
I think, I don't want to do weird and janky things with it. I think the idea of a guy with like a dwarf engineer, like hidden behind a building, and then anything that runs past it shoots in the ass, and then a new player is like, what is happening, is the exact type of things that I hate, right? I
think the more likely bummer is, oh, I got my dwarf rangers over here. I'm gonna overrun into the baggage cart, and then the guy be like, "Sorry, mate, you get to blow it up because it's not in the remaining moves phase." Like that's the way worse. Feel bad.
True. Or I have a baggage train, I put my cannons behind it, and you can't shoot them, and then I can shoot you.
Why can't I shoot them?
Because you need to pick a point, and isn't it impassable, so the cannonball can't go through it?
That's plausible. That's plausible. But it doesn't block line of sight, so I can see the base of the cannon. It would be harder to shoot counterfire. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Crunch. I'm gonna say this is the thing that upsets me the most about the entire FAQ, and it's to do with something that no one cares about.
Well, it's just because baggage strands are a beloved innovation of the last 6 months. Beloved. And so by the way, kudos to you, Rob, for caring and giving a shit about baggage strands. And making sure that their good reputation is not sullied.
Yeah, because this turns baggage trains into cute dioramas, into janky, toxic pieces of... It's also impassable. So if there's a bit of the board I don't want you to move down, right? Block that bit of board. But
again, they can be blown up. That's the thing. Is like you can interact with them. Like it's not like a wood elf forest that gets placed there and there's nothing you can do about it. Like it's just the forest is there. You know what I mean?
It's true. Why can't a magical attack a wood elf forest? You're asking the right questions now. No, flaming attacks.
Fuck the wood elves, right? Yeah. Why aren't forests flammable?
All right. So we're into the frequently asked questions section, and
some of this one of my least favorite moments.
What frequently asked questions?
No, this is we're coming up on one of my least favorite changes. So. Both of them are eye-watering to probably some people out there, but let us continue.
Okay.
Let us.
Okay. So is there a maximum beyond which characteristics cannot be modified unless a rule specifies a maximum? The answer is no. Is this the one you hate?
That is fair.
That's fair.
Nope, that's not the one I hear. And also, I think, that one was unclear in the rules, especially if you're an old head, because I think it used to be blanket max 10. So, yeah. But I think it's clear that a lot of things work going beyond 10, like initiative, etc. Anyway, yes.
Yeah, and many of the rules do call out like
yes, if there's a cap. Yeah.
If there's a cap. I think it's for the new weapon that takes you above 10 attacks, the new magical weapon potentially.
Super dope. Yep.
I like this is an amazing question when you stick this next to can a goblin hewer get D3 extra attacks for each rank? And the answer is no. And then you're kind of like, well, I don't know what you're trying to do to me now. Like, why? But anyway,
why? Friggin' goblin hewer catching strays in this FAQ
for no reason. Okay, if a unit with the press of battle rule has 2 fighting ranks, can I remove the casualties from the second rank? The answer is no. Models of the first fighting rank, the rank in base contact with the enemy falls first as casualties.
So this to me is a real bummer. First of all, it ignores how this works, and so like they could have errated the rule itself to get this effect, but instead we've bolted on an exception to a rule that was pretty clear. And second of all, this makes elite infantry, which were already tenuous because they're usually not core, who have multiple attacks, and who were protected by now at their second rank, less elite, less good. So this is basically a nerf of units that were all just barely hanging on, were given a role and a potential use case by press of battle, and have now once again kind of lost it. So, and all those Saurus warriors, shout out. Any number of infantry that have 2 attacks. There aren't a ton of them. So yeah, this was a bit of a bummer to me, and I don't like it.
Okay, well, I kind of agree with you. I think the thing I was thinking about units that have like multiple weapon options, right? So you take maybe the cheaper option from the second rank, you keep the unit at the front that maybe has more. But yeah, I agree with you. And in fact, actually, you bring up a really great point, which we could have talked about in the conclusion, but there's really nothing in this entire book that addresses elite infantry's weakness compared to your regular sword and board dudes from core for any army. And they definitely, there's nothing in this whole FAQ or Errata. What do you think about that?
I think that's a bummer, man. I think that so far what we've seen is that this is a pat on the back for how good 1.5 was, and coming through and sort of crossing some T's and dotting some I's. Which, by the way, is kind of what they said when they dropped 1.5, guys. Let's be real here. They said that was 1.5 was the way it's going to be. Until maybe we see a 2.0, which would be an addition change, I would hope. That they're not necessarily going back on anything that they promised. Would have loved to see, like, if this was how they're ruling it, then I would love to see Monstrous Infantry get added to it. You know, all that kind of stuff. But we didn't get that, I don't think, by the looks of it. So, and also this is a classic errata as an FAQ, which is weird when they could have just rewritten the rule, which they wrote for the errata section of this document. So anyway, moving on.
Okay. And if a unit contains models of 2 different troop types, how do I determine its maximum rank bonus? So in such cases, the troop type of the majority of the models determines the unit's maximum rank bonus. So obviously, like in this situation, I think what some people were doing, because there doesn't seem to be any negative to this, but the only trick I can see that is really occurring here is if I have a unit that can make a rank from having slightly less models, and also if we're using something like the phalanx rule, then attaching something to like a phalanx unit or attaching something to like a larger unit means that you can basically get an extra rank bonus for just having like 1 less model. So like if you're incredibly fringe and then you maybe get +1 rank from one less model. Sure, there you go. There's a solution to an answer few people have created.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's not world bending or breaking, so that's fine. Also, my intuitive sense made there. Okay, it's a little blurry for me, so you gotta read.
Can a unit that is partially on a hill shoot in 2 ranks? No. To claim the benefit of being on a hill, you must be entirely on the hill. Okay. You got to be half in the wood and entirely on the hill. Welcome to the Woods and Hills FAQ.
So this is terribly worded because now people are going to ask, well, what about for being able to see? So because the benefits of being on a hill include a lot more than just firing in 2 ranks. So hopefully we're gonna have to decide that this applies specifically to 2 ranks and not anything else. Because to claim the benefits of being on a hill, a unit must be entirely on the hill. That's very different.
But a nice bonus is they capped how many rangers you can have in a unit. So now every dwarf player is like, can I fit 20 rangers on a hill? Yes, it fits. Perfect. When a model fights, must it make all of its attacks, or can it choose to make fewer? If a model is able to fight, it must make all of its attacks, which actually I really like. And actually, I do really wish every game system always said that. Whenever it's come up, it's always been like a problem as a thing. Like you can't attack. So this is good. This brings a lot of like conjunction with almost every war game I play now.
Yes, and this is one of those things that didn't survive, I think, the cut paste from previous editions, which I think it was explicit in previous versions of the game, but not this one. So I'm glad that they went back and said that. It's good.
That's good. It's very good. Okay. Get ready. This one is the most obvious answer, but anyway. Models in a fighting rank cannot fight if they are killed before they have a chance to fight. But can models in a second fighting rank, in the case of units with press to battle, fight if the model in front is slain? And can make a model a supporting attack if the models in the fighting rank in the front are slain. So I think what some people were saying was, especially if you use the different initiative step values, the idea is let's say something strikes at initiative 10 and it wipes out the front rank of a unit. Well, now you're not in base to base, in theory, when either you come to strike or they strike again. So you're not in there, so you can't be fighting, I think is the problem people are having. So the answer is yes. Unless they have been killed, models that are in a fighting rank or that have been able, or that are able to make supporting attacks can do so as normal. In other words, casualties inflicted reduce, firstly, the number of models in a fighting rank that are able to fight, and secondly, the number of models in the supporting rank that are able to fight. So I think this is just answering a question which is confusing for some people, which is really fair. Because I think that's a really, like, when I first read this, I was like, this is pretty obvious. But actually, when you read it, you're like, actually, I'm not in contact, so I can't fight. And you're like, that's a fair point.
So I think the real issue where this comes from is this game does have step up. So step up is a rule that's described. And specifically, it says that models that step up cannot fight. So if we're removing from the front rank, if that's where the casualties are, and then your new second fighting rank line is stepping up to where they are, now they can't fight. And if the supporting attacks, which are guys not in the fighting rank, but like have a spear or something behind the fighting rank, they step up, Now they can't fight is actually what they should be answering here, because step up is the only thing that confuses this. But yes, I think in a very confusing way, and I bet there's going to be some rules people who read this very closely and discover some very stupid interactions that come out of this answer. I will almost guarantee it.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Okay. We're on a question on page 157. It states that units that pursue and catch an enemy that fell back in good order count as having charged during the next turn. But what exactly does this mean? And then it just goes on to describe what it means. Okay, exactly what it says, which I thought was passive aggressive and unnecessary. But there we go.
But also underscores an important thing here, guys, which is that the it feels like when the actual rules writer is answering this thing, they are literal. Like what does it say on the page? That's the rule.
Yes.
And that's how you get things like low linear obstacles. Unless they say it isn't that.
Don't worry. Which is we got an LLO. We got an LLO coming up. You hope you're excited.
I know, it's real sexy. Yeah.
Anyway, they just go on to describe that it just counts as having charged exactly like a charging unit. If it moved over the distance to get the initiative, but again, I think this is one of those things where it's like, if you aren't in a tournament scene or even in a gaming group, if you're just playing with your friends, you're like, I don't really know what that means. Can you write it out in more detail? Which things like this. So this is my massive gripe with this FAQ, not the release, not the too much, too little, nothing like that. They sometimes write this stuff as if they're just trying to help, like, Pete and Steve play in their gaming garage or club or whatever, but then they format it and produce it in a way that is so anti-ethical to that as a process. They don't give examples, they don't do pictures, they don't do, you could just, the pages are free. I know the internet doesn't cost that much. You can just keep writing if you want to and give examples, and people would really appreciate that. It definitely comes up in some other of the questions as well. And it really upsets me because I'm like, yeah, fine. I personally didn't need to read this, but some people will need to read it. But the people that need to read it are never seeing this on page 11 of the FAQ, right? Yeah.
So, and that's honestly why, on the Squarebase FAQ, which you can find at squarebase.com/FAQs, we'll get it updated as soon as possible. We do have both the Games Workshop and the Squarebase FAQs listed there. For a while, I tried to separate them between asked questions, which are just like clarifications basically, and things that actually change a rule, which are like sort of like FAQ, non-errata FAQ answers. And it became just very ungainly to do that. I think basically what needs to happen occasionally is that they need to take a look at the whole thing and consolidate it down. And ultimately, that's, I think, what traditionally a new edition is, right? Is when they sort of put everything together. Although sometimes not. Sometimes you get a new edition and they ignore the fact that there were a bunch of FAQs and then they take 6 months to restore the FAQs. I don't know. I'm a little despondent. I'm not doing my job. I'm not doing my job. Earlier on, when the 6 month ago thing, I should have been there. Should have been to capture. Listen, we got new Cathay coming soon. We got a whole year of new models. We don't know what's happening. Okay, they got to hit me with some jazz hands soon.
SBC is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Okay, we don't know. Also, we don't know if because SBC exists,
maybe we screwed it all up.
Maybe we screwed it all up, and they're like, oh, we'll hit the big hitters, and they'll deal with the rest. So, shout out. I don't know. Like, leave us if you do think that. Don't leave a comment. I don't want to hear about it. All right. Okay. Next question. Can evasive, a rule that in the opponent's shooting phase lets my unit make a move, if an evasive unit that is use that special rule whilst engaging combat, the answer is no. And that is good clarity because it doesn't say that on the evasive rule. You would think they're locked in combat, can't do it, but there's nothing that says it on the evasive rule says you can't do it.
And so I assume there are some things that can, there are probably things that can target something in combat. So cool. And again, literal, right? So boom, there you go. Boom. No.
Yeah. So next one I think is a great quality of life change. Impact hits and stomp attacks cannot be directed against a character that's joined a unit unless that unit has unit strength of 5 or less. Does this limitation also apply to unit champions? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
So no impact hitting a champion, no stomping a champion specifically. You stomp at the unit. unless it's got 5 models or less.
Yeah. Very cool. This could be solved with a errata that is, champions are characters for all rules purposes, except for being able to leave or something like that. But yeah, that's good. That's another exception for characters.
Okay.
For champions. We missed one.
No, yeah, I was just seeing if there's any on the left-hand side.
Oh, yeah.
Are wounds lost as a result of the timber falling on a unit counted towards enemy's combat result score? Answer, yes. Good for you, giant players. And I know there's dozens of you.
The giant, give it up for the giant for being the only model that is so cool that people still play it just out of pure stubbornness because it looks awesome.
Is it? Is it the only one? What are the other ones?
It's gotta be one of the most common bad units that still makes the game.
What about the Wood Elf army? Same thing.
I mean, yeah, maybe, but they have dragons and stuff. I mean, what's worse than a giant that gets regular play? There's a question for the comments. Worst unit for a giant that you bring anyway.
Would you like us to see a video on the worst units in the game?
Oh, S tier bad unit. That's what a giant is.
All right. Can an army include a character that has a higher leadership than my general if that character has a special rule, like Loner, for example, that prevents them from being the general?
Mm-hmm.
Answer yes.
Yes. Okay, great.
Good. Yep.
Not going to complain about that. Cool.
Yep. And if my army includes a mercenary character, can I make that army my general? I should throw a book at you, but the answer is no. Answer is no.
Okay.
I think that I wouldn't have mind sass.
Well, not necessarily, but this is also interesting. No, an army's general must be one of the characters listed in the characters section of the army composition list you are using.
Yes.
So that does rule out a handful of things that can be taken, like, for example, in a grand army of orcs and goblins, you cannot make a troll hag or troll princess the general because she comes out of rare. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that is interesting. Any character that's not in the character section cannot be the general. That is fascinating. I wonder what that may or may not do to certain things.
You've seen the animosity change, right? Do you want to get any feelings out before that? No. Listen, I'm meant to be building you up. Don't worry. It's cool. No, never mind. I'm building you up. All right, next one. This one is a fun one. Skaven characters beware. Also, I quite like this because I feel like this directly addresses Skaven. And it's like the existence of Skaven.
And they were a scourge.
Yeah, a scourge. Discouraged from playing. If there is no space for a character in the front rank of a unit with the press of battle rule, can they join the second rank? The answer is no. Characters must be placed in the front rank. This is not possible. They retire to the rear. So the example I was just talking about is when Skaven characters, when they get charged, they can go into the fight. They can hide away basically, but they still would be able to do some attacks because they're in the fighting rank still. But now they cannot do that. So, and I'm sure there were maybe some other examples of models that did that as well. But Skaven was the one that came to mind immediately.
This was a really cool piece of tech, actually, that I was using running Orcs and Goblins, which was, deploying, basically purposefully finding ways to get your characters into the second rank because they wouldn't be in base to base and couldn't be targeted. So this isn't just Skaven jank. This was actually just super useful jank for hiding a BSB or a wizard or whatever. So I do think that this is probably better. Because I did feel like I needed to over-explain every time I used this process of getting a character into the second row of the fighting rank. So that usually means that it's not the greatest use or application of the rules. So I think this is good. Well, I love that. I also think it's good as well. I think it makes sense, and I think it's a little unclear. And this is one of those ones where I'm like, write more. Just keep writing. Mm-hmm. Explain every step of this to me and an audience. And anyway, can characters displace command group models into the second rank of a unit with the press of battle rule? And the answer is also no. They must always be in the front. And then also, if a character is in the back rank of a unit due to there not being enough space for them in the front rank, do they confer any bonuses to this unit? And the answer is also a no, unless they have a special rule stating otherwise. So this is good. This is all good stuff, but I want to say that it's unfortunately written a little loosely, specifically because retiring to the rear, so the first one says retire to the rear, and if you look at what retiring a model means, they kind of go into like an ether, like they're not anywhere because they can't interact. They are just out of the game. It's kind of like Schrodinger's character at that point.
Yes.
But then these next couple talk about them being in the rear rank. Or at least the last one talks about being in the rear rank. And therefore, that becomes an issue of, like, say you're engaged in the rear and you need to retire your character. Where does he go? Because then he'll be in base to base. All this types of shit gets sort of convoluted. I prefer it just being abstracted. Yeah. They're hiding somewhere.
Yeah, I'm as someone who's often engaged in the rear, I need as much clarity and communication as possible. So
you don't want surprises.
You want to be providing updated information all the time.
Ongoing, informed consent when engaged from the rear at all times.
At all times, at all times, and I'm glad as we as a community are starting to strive towards that. This is a question about the Orc Bully that we mentioned before, which is Orc Bully is basically just got updated. And anyway, we've answered that already. And we got Battlefield.
Again, that's an errata to the Orc Bully. Just to do what they did to the Cathay and Ogre. But anyway, continue.
That's true. Battlefield terrain. Here we go. Val's favorite. To defend a low linear obstacle, a unit must move its front rank into base contact with it. Are skirmishers able to do this, or does it lack ranks to prevent it? Skirmishers can defend a low linear obstacle. To do so, simply as many skirmishers as possible into base contact with the feature. Now, many of you are asking, why is this an issue? Well, there's a spell called Earthen Ramparts, and this brings up a ton of different questions. And this did also not answer questions that we had about the previous low linear obstacle FAQ. So this is neither something we cared about or answered questions that we did want about LLOs.
Also, here's a fun one. Simply move as many skirmishers as possible into contact with the feature. So does that mean you have to surround the feature with your skirmishers if you can?
To surround a unit with the skirmishers?
So, like, normally when you're defending a low linear obstacle, you're on one side of the fence or the wall. But if you have to move as many skirmishers as possible into base contact with the feature and you run out of the obvious side of the wall to be defending, does that mean that you then have to move the guys to the opposite side of the wall as well?
Yeah, I think in that situation, you just tear down this wall.
You just everyone is going to pick up all of their low linear obstacles in their terrain drawers and desks and put them in boxes. And we're just going to mail them all on the same day. We're going to mail them to Games Workshop.
Yeah.
We're going to send them we're going to send them straight to Nottingham. We're going to say, have the low linear. You can have the low linear obstacles.
You can keep them. You can keep them.
We can just drown them in low linear obstacles, and we'll see how they defend them.
Who was I quoting? It's Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Was that?
That's Reagan.
Gorbachev?
No, that's Reagan who says, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Gross. Right, Warhammer armies. Do army special rules extend to mercenaries? I include, unless stated otherwise? No. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Yep.
That's fine.
Works for me.
That's fine. Okay, so these next...
Actually...
Go on.
No, that's correct. That's fine. Nope, we're going to leave it. We'll leave it.
Okay,
leave it.
What we have now, what we have is two things here. You seem to be excited to talk about one of them.
Yes, because I think a lot of people did not want to believe that this is how they meant it to work. And we have been consistently on this side of the law for some time.
Oh, I didn't even think. I was like,
and I told you so.
I thought this was just explaining to someone who was new. I was like, this is how it works. This is just explained to someone who's new.
Oh, people really wish it didn't work this way. But yes, continuing.
Oh, okay. Well, what I was going to say was the first question just clarifies how army list building works for people who might be a little bit confused. And I was earlier on when I was talking about it with some people, they were like, oh, Rob, when I read it, I was a little bit confused. So I just want to be really clear that, I don't think it was super clear. So they clarified that. And I don't think there's any more that needs to be said than that.
So, like, to be clear, what we're talking about here is occasionally you will see 0 to 1 per 1,000 points on an army list for a unit. Usually those are the good ones. Or You know, it'll say a maximum of whatever 0 to what have you, as far as a unit entry in an army or army of infamy option. And then we have the lovely match play guide, which added sort of like a bolt on top of that, sort of like the rule of 3 we used to do for square based. Except this one is a restriction of, what is it? 0 to 3 of any character, 0 to 4 of any core, 0 to 2 of any rare, and 0 to 3 of any special, something like that. And so the question is, if something's restricted, but it's restricted so that you can get more than the match play guide version of it. So let's say you're allowed to take up to 6 cannons, as far as your Grand Army is concerned. It would normally be restricted to 3 cannons because that's usually a special choice. Which one is it? Well, it's unless otherwise restricted. So if it has any restriction, you use the other restriction that's in the book. So that means that often you can go beyond the match play guide limitation. Comically, they even define 1+ as a restriction. So the mandatory 1+ units not only are now not only you know, you have to take them, but you can take as many as you want of them now. They get outside of the 0 to 4s, like for example, if there's a 1+ core unit like Knights of the Realm or whatever.
Glade Guards, five-man Glade Guard units.
1+, you can infinite. You can take as many of those. They are now unrestricted, which is wild.
Wild Riders, yes, true. Okay, and then finally, can a unit control more than one objective on the battlefield? This is interesting because they're very specific in what they call objectives in the game, and they're all called different things: strategic location, special features. So objective is like an odd wording. For example, can a unit control a special feature, a battlefield objective, a secondary objective such as a baggage train, all at the same time? The answer is no. If a unit is in a position to control 2 or more such objectives, they must choose one for it to control. Now, what's interesting about this is timing. A lot of these things actually happen at different times. For instance, strategic locations at the end of each turn. However, where this does come into play is for some certain armies. Beastmen is a good example, who bring strategic locations with them, and also there might be a strategic location on the board. So being able to control that at the end. Baggage trains and strategic locations are also at the end. So if you wanted to control both your herdstone and also a baggage train at the end of the game, you need 2 units to do so. So it doesn't really impact a lot of people, but I guess it's to stop 1 unit of Beastmen. Beastmen do get targeted a bit in this FAQ, so it's to stop Beastmen from just scoring bonus points.
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody, right? Because like it's because there's also what are the actual objective markers? What are those ones called?
They're called strategic locations.
Strategic locations. So, for example, can you control special feature, battlefield objective, and a secondary objective, such as a baggage train, all at the same time? Okay. So basically, it's just you have to. I don't know when you declare it, but maybe in your command phase, or like where would you
scoring for scoring? Well, for when do you control them? Because it's when you check for scoring, and you check for scoring on strategic locations at the end of each player's turn, and then for special features, it's at the end of the game. For baggage train, it's at the end of the game. There is an interesting point where what you could be
trying to do, I suspect, is saying that if you scored the strategic location, you can't score the special feature at the end of the game, even though they check at different times. Can a unit control more than one object on the battlefield? For example, can a unit control a special feature, a battlefield objective, and a secondary objective, such as a baggage train, all at the same time? No.
But those are different times. A strategic location and a special feature, different times.
They're scored at different times. But this is saying that you cannot control both of those things at the same time.
I think
this is a bad ruling. but they're saying no, you cannot score both the strategic location and the baggage train and the special feature.
I don't agree with that. I think that there is a great opportunity for us to create a document to explain when the timings are created, and then for TOs to each individually make a decision on when they think, or if you can. Like, for example, I don't think you should be able to hold a special feature which benefits you with the random table for bonuses at the same time as holding a strategic location, which you're trying to score.
And I think we already ruled that.
It's basically not any clearer than, well, it's less clear than the way we've written it, but it's also worth just documenting when those things happen, because I do get asked that question more than once at events as well. So I think it's something that is confusing for people. So
this is, if a unit is, just to beat this one to death, if a unit is in position to control 2 or more such objects, You must choose one for it to control. So if we're reading this as they intend usually, which is as it's written, then I think you're correct. You check to see if you control it when you check to see if you score it. Right?
Yeah, correct. That's the only time you ever need to know if you control it, is the time at which you score it. Like that's
therefore, yeah, you could score more than one of those, except for the ones that check at the same time.
Yeah. Like, because otherwise, like, other games do normally specify at what point, and sometimes people make that into sub game. Like AOS has got like a end of turn sub game of bunch of abilities, and then you check scoring. So it's quite interesting. But yeah, this is, you know, their first shot at putting stuff on the board. Let's leave them to it. They're doing fine.
Sure.
Doing fine. All right. Okay. That's it for the core rules changes. What do you think, and how do you feel?
Okay. I think, honestly, nothing to be actually disappointed by based on what they said they were going to do. I think they did come in with some interest. They clarified some stuff I didn't think they needed to be clarifying, and left stuff that I would have liked to see changed. But overall, though, again, Cathay was the big thing for me. I think the game itself is playing pretty darn well right now. Nothing earth-shaking in there. So yeah, maybe the only downside is that was a bit boring.
Yeah, agreed. I would say that, like, you're right. We didn't see anything to overly address infantry that isn't core infantry. So, like, your elite infantry didn't really get like much of a look, or even monstrous infantry. Yeah. Yep. We didn't see much for that either, which is disappointing. We didn't see a big fat note at the end that said all legacy factions are also in the game now and are official. So, you know, there we go. All right,
let's wait for 2.0, but we'll Renegades will cover us off for the next year and a half or however long it takes.
Very exciting about that. Is it pressure to ask you what you think your timeline for something like Renegades would be?
No, the pressure is real though. But now that this is released, it's going to have to be in the next couple of weeks to a month. I took way too long on the 1.5 update. So yeah, it needs to happen. Luckily, I am laid up for a little while, so I won't have much to do. So that's good.
Okay, all right. In before
we gotta get SBC updated. We gotta get Renegades updated. And then there's probably other stuff too.
Yeah.
Who knows? Oh, we gotta update our FAQ, which I'm sure we can have that done real quick. But anyway, yeah.
All right, so we're going into Ravening Hordes first. Before the womps of fantasy, and we start looking at the changes. The first change, sir, is onto page 46, and it's to do with orcs and goblins. And this is whilst within 6 inches of a unit with a special rule, which is Quell Impetuosity. A friendly impetuous unit may reroll a failed leadership test when testing to determine if it can declare a charge or act as normal, whereas previously it just immediately stopped impetuous from occurring.
Okay.
An unnecessary nerf to impetuous units which already weren't being taken inside of an orc and goblin army. Why?
Well, I don't know. With the change to impetuousness, impetuous, pardon me. I mean, one of the core identities of orcs and goblins, let's be real here, was animosity, was the ability for orcs and goblins to just fight themselves rather than the opponent. So impetuous wasn't a bad rule for them. And now let's remember too that they usually will have, if they're, if we're talking start of the game or whatever, they're usually the units are pretty big. They got warband. They're usually leadership 9. If there's a black orc involved, there's probably a black orc war boss on the table with an 18-inch leadership 9 bubble. This isn't that big of a deal, and I think adds that flavor of lack of control of your units. And you still have the hat that you can put on, the leadership hat that allows them to, I think, still ignore it.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
Potentially, but I don't know why this has changed or what's happened.
I think this to me is a flavor move, because I think the change to impetuous and then the black orcs basically just removed impetuous entirely. This makes it so that your army is still potentially a little unreliable. So yes. I think that's it.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Moving straight on to warriors. That's it for the guys. That's it for the guys. Straight on to Warriors of Chaos. And the
so no changes to no 400th change for Fanatics.
Yes, we do. I mean, we could jump to that because that's in the
that's fine. That's fine.
In the FAQ.
We'll get there when we get there. Okay. This is just errata. Got it.
This is just errata then FAQ. So for moving on to Warriors of Chaos, Chaos Spawn have moved from 2d6 range to 2d6 plus 1.
Whoa! All right.
Slow down.
Cool.
Fucking slow down. Slow down. Could they have done less? Moving on to Beasts of Chaos. Minotaurs have gone down 3 points from 47 to 44 points, and Centaurs have gone down 2 points from 19 to 17 points.
Okay. So the Minotaur, a 10% reduction, you said it was 47?
47.
So to reduce it by 10%, you probably need to knock 5 points off of it. So they knocked how many points? 3 points off?
3
of it?
points off it, sir.
This is like a 6% drop on the Minotaurs. Okay, cool. And then somewhere around
I agree because I feel like 5% would have been way too low, but 7 way too high. So I'm kind of I can see why it's ticking over in your brain. You're like 6%. Is that the perfect space?
Could be perfect. We could have nailed it. Now let us remember here that in square-based comp, and there are tweaks coming probably for Minotaurs. We give them a 30% cut.
Yes. Yes.
So let's put that into context there.
Well, now you've got a 36% cut. That's how math works, right?
So maybe this might bump them into D tier. They're still probably D tier, but that's cool.
Okay, and Centaurs, I actually like Centaurs, FYI. Go back and watch our Beastmen review. I'm a Centaurs fanboy. I think they're okay. 2 points cheaper isn't much to swing home about, but they're a little too expensive before. Like, maybe if you start bringing them around like 14-ish, 13-ish points, I think that they kind of got some interesting play. They're cheap.
Commenters, YouTube commenters, can we please get a clip here of Val going to bat for Centaurs?
What?
And Rob talking about them being garbage and a waste of time, and I said they have too many rules to be terrible.
Oopsie poopsie. I don't think you're telling the truth. What?
I think someone is unable to remember history, and it could be either of us. So we'll let the comments.
I got the Gorbachev quote in today, so I don't know. We'll see.
All right. So that's more of a change though. So they went from 20, you said?
19 to 17.
19 to 17.
You're going to be thrilled about that. If you see the point changes of Wood Elves yet, you're going to be hyped.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Okay. So those changes, and then we got Vile Tide has gone up in its casting value to 9+.
Okay. And that's up from 8?
I'm going to say 8. I don't think it was 7, but I think it was 8.
Okay.
So I'm pretty pumped about that because Vile Tide was one of the most uninteractive kind of top-end army players. I think Cathay was bullshit in its own different experience, but I think many of us can agree Vile Tide spam, again, it was a gun line that was just too aggressive a gun line. Why would I bring a bunch of ballistics or shooting guys when there was 3 goats murdering whole armies? It felt a bit much, which is good.
Yeah, and also Beastmen are one of the armies that still has very reliable casting too. So going up to 9 is good. That also means that you need a level 3 to get it on just straight 7.
Yeah, I think making it harder to cast and also making you spend more points is a nice kind of inflection point there. Yeah.
Did we go past? Do we go past a base size change or no, that's in an army that'll be in the Arcane Journal. Sorry, my bad.
It's okay.
It's coming.
It's okay. So that's it for Beastmen. What do you think about the changes? Okay. I mean, because, there's some FAQ stuff, but I guess we'll ask at the end, I guess. So going into...
Valentine's great incremental change to Valentine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And then just sort of comical on the Minotaurs and the Centaurs, but what can you do?
Yeah. Then we've got Tomb Kings, and we're going to Skeleton Chariots going down to 41 points, I think, and also getting an armor value of 4 when previously they were a 5.
Okay.
Which
this
is
was
quite
rumored,
good.
And people were like, "Why?" Cool. All right.
I feel like the Chariots is the identifiable part of Tomb Kings. I feel like we did the show the other day. I feel like Skeleton Chariots are what we'll see as new plastic kits.
Well, there's those nice new ones coming out for AOS Necrons.
Wow, rude, but true.
I'm just trying to see. I was trying to see. Sorry, what their points are right now. What did they cost right now? Do we know? Or it's already been changed on. Wow, that's fast. So yeah, I'm not sure what they were originally, but yeah, okay. So we got a discount either way. Like who's out there clamoring for cheaper skeleton chariots? That's fantastic. And then a better armor save. All for it. I think that's awesome.
Okay, cool. And then lastly, Armor of Ages. Add the following. So it can only be equipped to infantry, cavalry, or chariot. So no monster with Armor of Ages anymore.
That's the reroll 6s to wound one?
Yes. Whichever one it is, it's the one that was very commonly taken.
Yes. Okay, cool. I think that's great. That improves feel badness.
Mm-hmm. So that's it for Tomb Kings, apart from FAQ stuff. I think I'm going to ask you about the balance later and the impact of the different changes, like at the end. I think that's what I'm going to do.
This is actually exactly what I was wondering about, by the way.
Marauder Tribe Chieftain and Marauder Tribe Berserkers have gone up to 30 mil bases, when previously they were on 25 mil bases. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, and that's specifically because Marauders changed, right? So Marauders got their fancy new release, and these guys were in the Arcane Journal, and they didn't get an immediate update to their base sizes. So this is good. So this means that they all have the same thing. I'm wondering if they missed one though.
Can the Marauder Berserkers is 2-hand weapons, right? Can you build that kit that they released as 2-hand weapons? Do you know that? I don't think so.
Sure.
I think it's hand weapon, shield, flails, great weapon.
Yeah, I think that's correct. But also probably well within ability to kit bash it, especially if they have a hand weapon shield option, because you should be able to just chip chop things on there. But yeah, that's good. That was like a thing that I think we all hoped would happen. So I'm glad it did happen.
Moving on, Tomb King Chariots went down 49 points. Tomb Guard Chariots went down 49 points. I'm just going to skip through that. And then Fanatics. This is what you were excited about.
Oh, God.
What happens to a Fanatic that ends its movement within the command range of one or more models with a hostile terrain special rule? The Fanatic must make a dangerous terrain test rather than creating an area of dangerous terrain, because previously they would have just died, or I would have FAQ'd it.
What is the hostile terrain special rule?
That's from Entrenched, I'm pretty certain.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Hostile terrain represents a model laying traps and creating hazards, causing enemy models to make a dangerous terrain test should they end their movement within that area. Now, I really like this because it's literally very RPG, right? Like, a Fanatic touches normal terrain, it just dies. But in this situation, there's a trapped area, which one guy is trapped. Not Entrenched. It's the Sapper Engineers. It's the same kind of thing.
Yes. So I remember when this came out. This is pretty straight. This is a pretty straight reading, because it doesn't turn the area into dangerous terrain. It just makes it so you have to take dangerous terrain tests. So that's all they're saying here, is that you actually do have to take the dangerous terrain test, right?
Yes, it does. It does, which I think is cool. I think that's cool, instead of being just auto dead.
Correct. And I think that is the correct way to read that. That's good.
We have another one for Orcs and Goblins Arcane Journal about Ogdra's Swamp Digger, one of your favorites. And his ability to choose between law elementalism and the law of troll magic, and he can choose from both if he wishes to.
Yes, because he knows both. This is actually something that was pointed out to me like so recently, like last 6 months.
Yeah, Malik pointed that out to me.
I think it's a sweet thing. Yeah,
and he asked me to make a call on it. I actually went the other way, because I said, it's the only example I can find in the game
100%
where it looks like something was missed off writing. So I was like, I can't justify, even though that's what it says, it can't justify it because it feels like it was just written badly, like we saw with the Renegade Crowns, where the bottom was just missing on the text. It feels like it's just missing. But actually, wrong. I was wrong. So if they were perfect in all the other areas, you could take it for face value what it says, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Also, I like that that's a good precedent for something like, I don't know, a Lord of Change. Might be a neat thing. So I don't know. Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so Troll Hag. Okay, so if a troll hag takes a magic weapon, is she able to use the properties of the magic weapon in her motherly love attack? And the answer is no. You either get hit with the bonk stick or you get the motherly love. But they do not. You either get the naughty stick or the motherly love. Only one. They don't go together. I hope that answers the question.
I'm just very sad that they didn't actually write bonk stick, because I wasn't reading around, so I'm reading along, so I immediately went back and no. That was an ad lib from Rob. No bonk stick in here. Rob is an expert, by the way, in the use of bonk sticks.
What does that mean?
You did the stick fighting. Your martial art involves sticks, does it not?
It does. It does. I did do it for people who know Screamer, which is a Filipino martial art. I did indeed occasionally bonks people with sticks, and they bonked me with sticks. It was a mutual. Me and a bunch of men got together and bonked each other with sticks. That's true.
Hey. No better way to do it. All right.
No better way to, as long as there's clear communication.
Especially when taking an attack from the rear. 100%. All right.
All right, so now we're into Beastmen, Brayherds. This one gets a little bit spicy, I think, and a little bit techie. So I don't think we need to get too into it because it's only going to affect Beastmen.
Well, I'd still be curious now because remember we did put one of their armies of infamy into A tier, I do believe.
Yes, which is what this is. Yeah, with Vile Tide and also what we're going to be getting here. Yeah.
Okay.
So if a Beastman Brayherd's army includes an allied contingent of Beastmen, can the army contain 2 herd stones, one the main force and one the allied contingent? And the answer is no. You can include up to 1 herd stone per army, whilst an allied contingent may be a different small army within a large army. Its regard, you are ultimately paying but 1 army. However, if 2 players are partnered for a doubles game, as defined in the match play guide, they could each take a herd stone. Okay, unnecessary, but okay.
Cool.
So yeah, that's good. That's good. It just stops you bringing basically additional VPs into your army.
And that's the same ruling I think that they gave the Wood Elf Forest as well too. So that's good. Cool.
And then how does the Dark Coven army special rule from the Wild Herd army interact with the Plague Chalice? In cases such as this, both outcomes can apply. This is to do with miscast. If a natural double is rolled, the spell is cast as a perfect invocation. The caster suffers a hit from the Plague Chalice. However, the caster and any other members of their coven will then also suffer the effect of a roll of the miscast table as per the Dark Coven special rule. So it's just some people were saying, oh, it's only this wizard that suffers it. But no, it's all of the wizards who do suffer it, which is good that you've just got the clarity there. And I don't think there was anyone arguing. I think there were some people arguing the other way, but that was just for an advantage. And it was one of the potential reasons that this is a strong army, but also it does have a downside that you just take a lot of miscasts. And I've seen Beastmen armies just blow up all their wizards from multiple miscasts, which is also very funny.
This feels related to the errata from the 1.5 changes. This feels like them changing that again. So we would take some in-depth reading. I think we should keep moving. But Beastmen players in the chat / in the comments, because this is for YouTube, does that have anything to do with the previous errata? And clarifying that so that it still has a punishing downside.
And then finally, does the Demon Heart increase the user's spell range? Answer is no, which is fine, and that is good. And lastly, Tomb Kings. Is it possible to resurrect? Is it possible to resurrect models in a skirmishers? The answer is yes. Simply place the resurrected model in coherency within 1 inch of another model with the rest of the unit.
Why is this dumb? Why is this dumb, Rob?
Well, several reasons, but
what has happened every other time it's been something like this has happened? What do people do,
They've changed it back.
But what does this immediately let people do?
Conga line?
Conga line! You could just make you could just take your skirmishing fucking archer dudes, let them get run down a little bit, and you just conga line them out as far out as you have dudes to bring back.
Well, it's really simple to fix this. It's
Make it 2 more than 1.
You just put it within 1 inch of a model that started the turn on the table. Like that's the easy way to fix it. That's the way it's been fixed in other.
That's the way it's ruled in the square-based FAQ as well.
Okay, it's a good way to rule it. I didn't even know that was the way it was ruled. Good. That's how I would rule it. So great news. Simpatico.
Well, because you're constantly consulted on the square-based FAQ. But you go into a bit of a fugue state, I think, when we have those conversations. Your eyes roll in the back of the head. You sort of go into a bit of a tantric chant. And then at the end of it, we have some really good rulings. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to ask you about all of
man, I am upset. I am just
okay.
so
don't worry.
Upset.
Don't worry. I'm bringing it back. We're going to the forces of fantasy, and you're going to have a good time. I promise you.
Follow this. So this is how Squarebase ruled it. Follow the same order for recovering wounds as for a rank and file unit. However, resurrected models must be placed with 1 inch coherency of a model that was alive at the start of the phase. Models that cannot be placed are lost. There you go, G-dubs. That's squarebase.com/FAQs.
Yes. Correct.
Squarebase.com/FAQs.
All right, okay. Don't worry, we got this. We got this. We got this.
I don't know why that
I
triggered
just
me so
realized my
hard.
Demon Prince is better.
That just triggered me so hard.
I realized
man.
my
I'm so
Demon Prince
triggered.
is so much better. So if I can take regen on my unstable from my Demon Prince, he's better.
But you can't do that anymore.
No, I can't do it on Crumble.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Okay, so all my demons can also take it. I probably should just sort that out. Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll move on.
Good thing I write Renegades, so I'll fix that. I was actually contemplating why demons have a different version of the rule at all anyway, and that it might make sense for them to just use Crumble. But anyway.
All right, so we're on to Forces of Fantasy, the good guys in quotation marks. And we're moving on to dwarfs. Are thou ready, sir? Rangers, who previously were a 5+ unit and can only now have up to 20. 5 to 20, not 5+.
Uh-huh.
Take it. And do 20 Rangers fit onto a hill? I've measured it and they do.
That's great. Good news for them. Depends on the hill, though. Some of my hills, maybe not.
My hill's a girthy.
I think because of the way they did the whole, like you can't string them out like you used to, because of if they get charged, they have to be able to make it into combat or they die. Stuff like that. I don't know that that's really that big of a limit. I don't know who was taking the gigantinormous unit of Rangers at this point. Maybe I'm naive. I don't know. 20 still feels pretty big for a Rangers unit.
You're absolutely not naive. You're crushing it. I believe in you. Right. Okay. So we are moving on to that's it. That's it for. I really wish it said Empire of Man and then it had everything for Empire of Man, because later on there are other dwarf changes later in the FAQ. Why is it not dwarfs? Rules changes, FAQ stuff, Empire of Man. Why is it not in that system? But
why are we still making rules mistakes that have existed since the turn of the 21st century? I don't know. I don't know, man.
All right, we're on Empire, and you should be pretty happy about this. A Lector of Sigma has gone up. Has gone up.
Sigma.
Plus Sigma. That's peachy. That's peachy. I'm saying it. Derby, gross. Right, Lector of Sigma has changed the leadership from 8 up to 9, and a Priest of Sigma has got from 7 up to 8. High Priest of Ulrich they've basically all got +1 leadership. High Priest and the Priest of Ulrich.
This is great. This is great.
Yeah, have also gone up as well, and they've also clarified the rule Clouds of Soot and Smoke, where previously you could make it so that you were behind full cover even if you were mounted on a horse, but now you cannot, and it's only unmounted. So
this is an engineer rule. I bet you this is so that you can't use it with a war wagon rather than a horsey, because they haven't given the mechanical horse back.
Although a war wagon was already a large target, so it already wouldn't have benefited from it.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Then who knows why they wrote this?
I just think it's literally so a horse can't be like, I'm hiding, versus a dude say I'm hiding. I think it's literally that easy.
But Clouds of Soot and Smoke is only for engineers, and they can't go on horses.
Is it only for engineers who can get it?
As far as I know.
Oh, well, it'd be really funny if they did this for a thingy and they didn't know that it was a large target. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
It is. Yeah, it's strictly Empire Engineer. It shows up as.
Is there no longer an engineer on a mechanical Haunts?
No, that has not existed for some time.
Really?
Unless maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they can hop on a horsey, and I'm
I don't
maybe
think
mounted on a war wagon.
Okay,
and then as you correctly point out, a war wagon is in fact
large target. GW rules writers, just FYI, you don't need to.
I suspect actually something has been removed.
Let's not focus on this.
Full cover. Okay, full cover.
This isn't.
So it's just
one.
-2 to hit. Okay, cool. All right, cool.
You're missing the massive news. The massive news.
Oh, massive.
Well, because we think Empire maybe needs some changes, probably to the Knights. But have you thought about instead increasing the toughness of Flagellants from 3 to 4?
I think that's a historic change. I think that is accurate. I think they may have been tough before.
I think they were. If
I'm wrong. That's a nice little switchback. But yeah, no, I'm kind of. So far, I was really hoping, I was hoping for obviously points changes and stuff too. But I was.
They come in.
Oh, there are more. But kind of like what we've seen. Yeah, what we've seen. Right?
Whoa! You don't know.
Well,
you don't know. You're going to be disappointed.
I'll save my comments for the end. Let's continue.
Okay. So next up, the big change, big change for competitive play, especially, is the Royal Pegasus. So it's been changed to an increase. Well, it's gone up to 70 points to ride it. Then it's become a monstrous creature. This means that the best armor save it can get is a 3+. It no longer has 360, no scope, line of sight, ollie, backflip, 220, and instead is just going to be charging in its charge arc as a monstrous creature because of the unstable special clumsy special rule. It cannot go inside of a unit of Pegasus Knights. So a triple nerf there. Quadruple nerf.
So on the bright side, this is maybe the first instance of this we've seen where they've gotten it very wrong and basically deleted the unit. So that's good.
Yes.
And also this unit can, with a little bit of a rebasing, can just be a regular ass Pegasus. Like you can do, but that is annoying though.
Yes.
Because why would you take that instead of a hippogriff, right?
No, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you, but there we go. And maybe it's to force the change into hippogriffs. Maybe it's to force the change into barded Pegasuses. So yeah, we've got,
and it's okay. So it went up 10 points, so from 60 to 70. But the monstrous creature change just completely nukes it.
Yes.
How much is a hippogriff?
I don't know, but I think maybe we could address like each one of the armies in a separate video and have like a chat.
Why not just bog this down as much as possible? And just get really caught in the weeds here. 120. 120.
Yeah, why don't we? I don't know. I'm ready if you're ready.
High five, Rob. We just did our Bretonnia review.
Oh,
nailed it. Think of all the time we saved all that time. Awesome.
Nailed it. All right, okay.
It's a deep dive of Bretonnia.
The pole arms that you previously took for Bretonnia, they've now clarified at what step you can decide if you're going to be single or double-handed, and that's not super important. And they've also changed the unit size of battle pilgrims. Well, they've changed them to 6 points. Sorry, and also they've decided you can have units of between 5 and 30, and up to 1 reliquary. So, I mean, not big news.
Does that change the? Because I remember back in the day, I really wanted to think that these guys were cool, but maybe they aren't. I don't know if they are. Probably still not cool. 5 to 30 per 0 to 1. So you don't have to take a Grail Reliquary, is what we're saying?
You do not.
Do you ever have to take it?
I don't think you ever have to take it. Okay, so that's it for that's it for Bretonnia. So big nerf, but let's jump into the big news: Wood Elves.
I'd say Brett's got off super okay there. Like their characters got taken down a peg,
but they're still knights.
Yeah, they're doing just fine. I think.
They're fine.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, or shout out to the peasants. They're doing great work. Okay, so
always
big news. Glade Guard have gone down to 10 points each from 11. Eternal Guard have gone down to 12 points each from 13. Glade Riders have gone down from 17 points to 17 points from 18.
Wow, that's so disheartening.
However, it's not disheartening for my friend Rebecca, who currently, I think, is second in the world in the rankings because we keep just playing here, right? Or whatever it might be.
So she gets, a lot of points.
Yeah, and she runs Dryads and Treekin, and it's changed the movement characteristic 6 from 5, so gone up +1, and also give them Armor Bane 1.
Why not?
Why not? They're good. They're good. I mean, the rest of the Wood Elf book, apart from a dragon, like who cares? But the Dryads are strong. And just FYI, I've seen Dryads played competitively and well for a little bit now. So this is.
Does Rebecca run Host of Taliesin?
Yes.
Because I when that came out, I remember saying that was the secret Treekin army list.
And you were right.
Because it does.
And you were right.
And that is super fun.
It also only needs an additional 600 points to play. So.
Right. I played against it at where was I? I was at
SBC,
the tournament I ran. No,
Green
California.
Banner.
Yes, the Green. Come on, Cali Cup. I was in Cali Cup. I played in my last round against so many trees, and it was maybe a little excessive, but it wasn't that much excessive, and it was also super awesome. There was just so many trees coming at me.
Also, every time a Wood Elf player says tree whack, it's hilarious.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Tree whack from the rear. Let's go.
What does happen in the forest when no one's there to hear it? Tree whack.
So the Sisters of the Thorn have been changed to 22 points, and Wild Riders have been changed to 26 points.
Okay.
So none of which matters.
Is that? I feel like Wild Riders went up.
I think no. Wild Riders gone down by 2. I think.
No, just 1.
1.
Why, guys? What are you doing, guys? Guys. 2 points. 2 points off on Sister of the Thorn. That's at least 10 almost 10%. But like, why? Like a 27-point model by 1 point. That is not enough.
There was someone in the chat earlier that said with all these points changes to Wood Elves, their list has gone down 27 points, which I think is solid. All right, okay, we're going to move on. We're moving into the Arcane Journal. Dwarven Mountain holds Errata, and this one is big. Doomseekers, you must delete the character from the troop type, then add skirmishers to the list of special rules. This means they cannot go inside of units. They cannot also do challenges, even though there are some runes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, the second one there. I don't think that they were really going into units much anyway. The bigger deal for folks who really love the Slayerholds army is that they clarified what they meant by the unit restrictions.
Yeah.
So you can bring whatever dumb number it is. I don't know if it's 16 or 18 of these guys, officially.
Yeah, but also
which is really funny.
But also because they're not characters, they can't benefit from not being shot as well.
True. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
but remember, like the Doomseekers, they want to die, right? So like, it's not you're not generally trying to protect them.
Yeah, but they don't want to. They don't want to die from some like blind fingerless goon with a pigeon bomb the other side of the board, dropping a rock on their head.
If you were playing maximum Doomseekers, you should give every Empire player you encounter a free pigeon bomb. Maybe 2.
Maybe 2. In fact, actually, maybe one of the FAQs we should produce is if you play an Empire, you get 1 free pigeon bomb, but you must always use it. Anyway. Right.
Wow.
Arcade Journal.
I'm just exhausted right now. The skirmishing resurrection question just took it right out of me.
What the Wood Elf points drops didn't bump you back up? Come on, man. Focus.
Maybe by a point. Yeah, I'm up 1 point.
27. Okay.
I went from 49. I went back 49 to 50. Let's go.
What everyone's been waiting for is General Hans von Lowenhack to get his leadership up to 10.
Yeah. All right. We're back.
We're back. Okay.
We're back. Nope, that's the fart sound. Yeah, there we go. We're back.
Okay. Good.
We're back.
We're back. Okay, good. And then also Von Trick's Wondrous Arquebus, it gets magical attacks, which is decent.
Nice.
So there we go. There are more Wood Elf points drops? I think there is. Wild Riders? I don't see any other points drops. Oh, no, sorry. You're right. Okay, so in the Wood Elf Arcane Journal, Araloth is also down to 150 points, but don't worry about that because you're not going to take him. But an interesting point came up, and I need to look at this in some detail. But they've changed Orion's Spectral Hounds. They've taken Fear off of his datasheet, and instead they've added the following to the Spectral Hound special rule, which is... In addition, whilst one or more Hounds of Orion remains, Orion himself cannot be targeted by enemy shooting. Now, unfortunately, when I have read this, and maybe I'm being too pedantic, but enemy shooting was or is too broad a terminology. Yeah, it's non-defined. I went and looked it up to see, like I looked on, it's non-defined. It's a non-definable
term. It is in the
term.
square-based FAQ though, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's not defined by Games Workshop. So I was like, is a bomb shooting? Is
cannon?
So a cannonball targets the ground, right? A point on the ground. Therefore, the bounce.
It cannot target. Yet it can't target characters, right? So like if you're protected by the lone character rule, you're not allowed to hit it. He gets out of the way automatically.
But he's not targeted by the lone. Yeah, he's not lone target. he's got spectral hounds.
I know, but what I'm saying is like sometimes they do get character tier protections from cannonballs when they say they do.
Yeah. Yeah, and all of this only matters as long as the dogs are alive, and the dogs are ethereal, so you just got to do some magical attacks against them. So I think it's a little bit of a nothing burger, but I think it's to try and make Orion see more play, right, or be more usable on the tabletop. But I'm a little bit disappointed in this because like some of the other wording or ruling has been like, oh yeah, we know what we're talking about, and then enemy shooting, I was like, please, like I understand that, like again, I'm probably being pedantic on that one specifically, but I was like, this last bit really upset me because I was like, that's not what we say in this game. Use more words, and also write 2 more lines. Just be specific. Bullet point it. War machines, magic missiles, ballistics you're shooting. Like, you know, just fucking write them down. Vortexes, write them down. Yeah.
So the way this was ruled in the square-based FAQ is actually pretty simple. Attacks made in the shooting phase are shooting attacks. This includes Wailing Dirge.
Perfect. Perfect. This is really easy. But they haven't created enemy shooting as a terminology, so why should we?
No.
Okay.
So we have to, because we actually play the game.
No, we play this game. They're already playing 2nd edition, bro.
They're doing something.
Okay. They're doing something.
Oh, man,
else.
I'm so salty. What? Stop being a B word, Val. These guys are doing their best. But so are we. I'm doing my best. I just want everyone, if you were involved in this FAQ, just know that I'm doing my best.
He's doing great.
I'm doing my best, okay?
He's doing great.
Call me, valheffelfinger@gmail.com. I won't tell anybody you contacted me.
Don't call me.
valheffelfinger@gmail.com.
I've already updated my event pack. I'm done. It's fine. Okay. So right, okay. So Renegade Crowns, big news for you. None of it was important, apart from because if you remember, they forgot to include some words in print, so they just included them now. Does that remember? Do you remember?
Yes, they just fully didn't print that. They also didn't clarify if Renegade Crowns is an Empire army, but that's great. So it's a nobody army at this point.
Ooh, okay. All right, so now we're into frequently asked questions.
Here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. They might do it here.
Frequently asked questions.
Let's freak it. Let's get freaky.
Okay. So in order to dwarf and mountain holds, if a unit of enemy infantry charges a unit with a master rune of hesitation, can it make use of the press of battle rule and fight in 2 ranks? The answer is no. Although the rune prevents charging enemy unit from using certain weapons, it doesn't mean it gets the press from battle rule and get to fight in 2 ranks. So it hasn't charged.
Okay.
It has charged, but it doesn't get the benefit of weapons and stuff. So that's very clear, and I think that's a good question to ask and a good answer. So it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, do you know the rune we're talking about?
Well, I know exactly the rune we're talking about. It's just that this is one of those probably literal situations unless they clarify, which they did. So that's good.
Yeah. Next up, if a unit of enemy infantry charges a unit with a master rune of hesitation, does it gain the initiative bonus for charging? Yes, it also does as well. So some real clarity there. I feel like we're living in they're living in a meta quite a while ago where that mattered, but fine. Okay, this took me a long time to figure out, and I kind of hate it. But there's 2 questions about if I'm dug in and I get to and I end up in a fight, do I stay dug in after the fight ends? And the answer is yes.
This is interesting. So that did they answer about like because this is the low linear obstacle interacting with the dwarf thing, right?
Yes.
So they yes it is. Amazing. So that's them unless they didn't understand why people were asking those 2 questions, which is possible. So that gives that basically canonizes the that move that dwarves can do by making themselves all low linear obstacles at all times, which is fun.
Unless the dwarves move.
Unless they move, but not from these scenarios. So there's
Correct.
got to be specifically a different kind of move. Okay.
Yeah. Next question is, can a Doomseeker join a unit of Slayers? And the answer is no, as per the FAQ that we just talked about. And then when a Goblin Hewer shoots using the Whirling Death special rule, does it add D3 to the modifier to the number of shots rolled for each rank of file, or single D3? And just a single D3 modifier. You do not gain any extra D3 per rank of file, which is perfectly, I think, good because, I mean, really, it was too strong. Yeah, no, I think that's what the kids are saying out there in the streets. Dragon Ogres, perfectly pointed. Goblin Hewer, no extra attacks for you, sir.
No, get wrecked. All right. Why?
Next one's a very odd, just kind of Empire-specific one, where Laurels of Victory give you additional bonus points for combat res. But if I do any damage via stand and shoot as a charge reaction, and I have the Laurels of Victory, do I get 2 points versus the 1 point I would normally get? And the answer is no. So you're only going to get the additional points in like melee attacks.
Okay.
Oh God. Okay. So we have a question and an answer about the Lance formation.
Okay. This is okay.
You excited about this?
That's mean about the Laurels of Victory thing, by the way. I just through. Okay, so let's write. Oh, so this is a blue. So this is a modification to the previous ruling about lance formations. Let's go.
When a unit in the lance formation is engaged in combat, every model on the outside counts as being in base contact. How many enemy models count as being in base contact with the lance? Every model within the first fighting rank that's within a number of inches equal to the movement characteristic of the lance. In the case of the enemy regular or heavy infantry, the second fighting rank is not in base contact. There is another rank in the way. Okay. When a lance charges, it pierces deep into enemy formation, pushing warriors back and causing enemy lines to close around it. It's very hard to show this on the table, though, hence the abstraction. Note, this can create an area of dead ground between a lance and a unit it is engaged in combat with. If any enemy units are caught within this, refer to the rules covering accidental contact on page 131 of the Warhammer Old World rulebook. Now, I have to say, as a tournament organizer, that is a unit engaged with a lance the most asked question maybe I get, with the exception of multi-combats and people like, what happens now? Which is always really fun. Always really fun.
Especially, when one unit like dies during the combat, it's like, well, are these guys still fighting these guys? Or like, what's happening? So I get asked this one a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
I get asked this one a lot, and I like this because it really, the specific part that I struggle with is that dead ground. Because if you imagine a block of infantry charged by a lance, you do end up with this side area where sometimes there are models in the way or whatever it might be, right? Because they've made a legal charge and it's all worked, but they've said, what happens here? Am I also charging this, or what's the situation? So that's nice. That's good. That answers a lot of the questions I get asked, because I can be like, cool, it's accidental contact. But I think that's okay. I feel I could answer questions based on that. Okay, so next up, can a unit with the finest Warhorses special rule, so we're still in Bretonnia, special rule, reroll the dice when using Swift Stride, which is where you can reroll a result of a 1. That's finest Warhorses for Bretonnia. No, finest Warhorses allow a unit to reroll the charge roll, but the D6 roll for Swift Stride is not part of the charge roll. It's rolled to give a modifier as a result of the charge roll. So no rerolling ones, which I think was already covered in a previous FAQ.
Feels like it was.
Yeah.
Feels like it was.
So... but there we go. It's more clear, which is nice. Moving into Arcane Journal Wood Elf Realms. A Wood Elf noble that belongs to Wild Rider Kindred may only wear light armor, but they can also wear a magical helmet. What do you think? Yes, a helmet can be worn in addition to light armor. So fine. That's not a big deal. I really don't think. The next one is about
this
double
was actually
events.
that was a square-based FAQ for the record, not a GW one. So that's cool. All right,
buddy.
Continuing.
No, buddy, ending.
Oh, we're through.
We're through so a lot of questions to kind of wrap us up. I almost feel like the last bit should be its own self-contained video. What do we think of the FAQ? But this is where we're at now. So how did you feel about my initial assessment at the beginning of the video, if you can remember back to 2 hours ago?
Your initial assessment at the beginning of the video was a bit of a, I think you sort of highlighted it was maybe a bit more of a nothing burger. Like there wasn't a ton of changes, that it wasn't as intense as maybe we were hoping.
Okay, so how about I clarify what I think did happen, and you kind of tell me if where we think we're at with it. We got a nerf to Cathay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is that enough of a nerf or not enough of a nerf? Are you comfortable with saying maybe time will tell?
I think time will tell.
Okay.
I think so this is what I think. I think that you can have armies that are strong, in fact, very hard to beat, but if they're interactive, so if you're in a flight with them and you're killing stuff and you're going back and forth, that kind of an army, even if they are very strong, doesn't feel nearly as badly as an army that doesn't let you touch it, doesn't die, and destroys you. Which is what Cathay was. Feels like maybe a little bit less so now. And then they took off some of the, I'd say some of the highest wheat, like some of the highest wheat got cut down as well. Some of those obvious things got adjusted. Again, stuff that was out of date upon release because of the 1.5 errata. They brought that into line with 1.5 from 7 months ago.
Yeah. Okay,
So
cool.
that's good.
So good. And Tom would see whether or not that's enough. But I think if you are a Cathay player or you have a Cathay army like me, built and unpainted, I feel like I can start put some colors on those and maybe put them on the table and not feel too terrible, which is nice.
I think you can also consider more than one, more than if you really love your balloons. I think the non-character version of it still wildly cheap, but I think not again as aggressively awful as it was before. Even just the one use restriction on the Sky Lantern bombs is fantastic. The dropping of the strength is fantastic. I think balloons have been brought into a greater line of sanity, I think, which is great.
So the next biggest nerf I think that we saw out of everything was to Bretonnia. Well, that's how it feels like, kind of in retrospect. Bretonnia and Beastmen, I think, maybe of equality, but they both had at least some targeted changes. For Beastmen, it was to shooting, and that was specifically the magic missiles via Viletide. Yeah. And then for Bretonnia, obviously, the Royal Pegasus. Now, obviously, it doesn't address Peg Knights, it doesn't address Bombards, it doesn't address, what is a mixture of things. And I don't think we saw enough of an improvement to make people want to pivot to running Knights or Grail Knights or anything similar to like that. So what's your kind of take on those two armies, Beastmen and Bretonnia?
I do feel like Lance Formation got a bit of a buff into Infantry, which is good because, again, it was borderline, why would you do that? And so I think that's a nice thing. Yeah, the Royal Peg definitely got probably relegated to not used very often, and just a Barded Pegasus is what we'll probably see. But that is a nice nerf to a very powerful character style, and also kind of neat because now you might see, if you wanted to go with that like maximum swashbuckling hero, you might see the Hippogriff a bit more, which is a pretty iconic, cool model. Lots of good third-party options out there too. So I don't mind what's going on with Bretonnia. I think Bretonnia is the original Cathay, to be honest. And it hasn't been as dominant, at least in tournaments these days. And I hope that with some of the other shifting arounds and changes, that maybe we see some folks just having fun experimenting with different unit selections and choices and stuff. Maybe it just mixes up the optimal choices a bit for them. For sure. Beastmen,
I feel like we ended up with a better Beastmen roster, in that I think the build that they were running was too good, but I think the build they have is a very solid B tier army book. It's got some really good choices. I think it's very comfy. There's rumors, by the way, of a combined Warriors of Chaos Beastmen army.
That's been floating around out there as sort of like the thing after Cathay, the wave 2 of Cathay, as being what might happen. Again, yeah, we talked about that at length. It feels a bit early for already getting sort of that amalgamated Horde of Chaos type feel from like a Great War Against Chaos, if you will. But so that could be happening. That Beastmen plus Warriors of Chaos thing could totally be real, and then maybe we have something else fun to talk about. That'd be great.
Yep. So Beastmen, we covered that. So then we move into some of the other factions. So Tomb Kings felt like they encouraged skeleton chariots a little bit, and that's basically the light touch that Tomb Kings got. You feel comfortable with that statement?
I apologize. Can we just pause for 1 sec?
Yeah. So we've got Beastmen, we covered those. Sorry. Tomb Kings feels pretty light touch. Wood Elves, it feels like they tried to do something for Wood Elves, but it feels like fundamentally Wood Elves are just not like, I said earlier, like in the video up on Patreon, I was like, I feel like they just need a book rewrite.
I think all the elves are in a tough spot, right? Because what are elves?
What do they do?
They're elite.
That's a good point.
Elite infantry, right? So a lot of the things that make those jazzy and fun, they don't really get to really flex on that. And if we look at previous versions of elves that became a little bit more of a handful, what they wound up doing was keeping that core elf stat line, but then just layering on buffs on top of it. And you wound up with some pretty. I mean, I think the reason elves are the way they are right now is because they wound up in the sin bin. They wound up on the post edition penalty box. So I think in the second edition we'll see elves make a resurgence, but right now they're kind of normal.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I agree with that. Orcs and Goblins got just a nerf for no real reason, with Fanatics getting a bit of a buff.
Caught astray.
Goblin hero caught astray. I feel like Dwarfs had actually ended up generally worse off, the 5 to 20 cap on Rangers. But I think that's enough for like going through the individual units. I guess the real question is, let's judge them, and there are other things I want to ask as well, but let's judge them by what they declared they were doing. And specifically, if we go onto the Warhammer community website, I'm just going to double check I've got this right, because I don't want to be, and obviously that's marketing, so it's always worth kind of pointing out.
Yeah.
But they describe it as the old world balance update. That's what they called it, the old world balance update. And ultimately, do you judging them by that metric? How do you feel? Do you feel like that's what this was, or do you feel like it was just some targeted nerfs for some outliers? I mean, I guess that's balance as well. I don't want to speak for you.
I mean, this was a much needed patch for Cathay, and then not much else. I would argue some clarifications roughly on 1.5, which is in line with how they announced 1.5. And yeah, so like when they talk about a balance update, which is what Warhammer community has, titled this as, and go look at what a balance update is for AOS and 40K. That's a balance update, right? So we're going to see like big changes to not only the rules and mechanics of armies sometimes, but you'll see significant changes to points values, lots of tinkering. The game is a true living rule set in those editions. That is not what we're seeing here. And that is not to say that is a bad thing. So if we could just undo the last 6 months of chat-based internet trauma of people, in this fever dream about Cathay and all that kind of stuff, and then we assume that this is how 1.5 was meant to be, and go forward from here, I don't think this is a much more acceptable place to be in. And I'm not mad about it at all. And I think we're where I assumed we would be back then, before really grasping how powerful Cathay was. And that is a world where undead have a whole lot of advantages in a match play guide world. And so that is something that as a community we're going to have to address. Yes. And we'll need to figure out because it's not necessarily clued in here, and this is not a balance update, right? So like this is something that they're clarifying mechanics, interactions, maybe cleaning up some incongruity, but that's about it, right? We're not actually trying to make this bring up the underperforming factions. There's nothing here that's really exciting for pretty much anybody. This is a big mouthful of for the most part, and like luckily the people who get it the most nerfs are the factions that I think even the players of those factions would recognize that they needed an adjustment. So that's great. So overall, like I think you said, like does this perform to the expectations that were set? I think they maybe fell victim to the comment in the last paragraph of the article. Of the article, especially the all armies new and old or whatever it was. The sort of hinted maybe some legacy stuff. Of course, there was never going to be legacy stuff for this. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's we care a lot about this game, right? So like anything short of like immaculate, there's always going to be a bit of a lunchbox letdown. I'm not actually. This isn't quite like the tier of like Warhammer preview where we thought we were getting the whole game in 2020. What was it, 2023? And it was just Elise Duchard's feat. That was what was revealed. So like, I'm certainly happier than that. I'm glad they did it. They needed to do this, but I think we wait for an actual 2.0 at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think with Renegade Pack, with SBC, and obviously like if anyone's watching this like, well, we don't use that. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. Do your own thing. to make that work for you. But I think that there's some scope there for that. But yeah, I think legacy being addressed needs to be done by the community. I think tier stuff still needs to be addressed by something like SBC or whatever else people want to use as their own system. You know, to
German comp, Aussie comp, just raw dogging it out of the book.
Comp, yeah, like, you know,
square-based comp. Like, honestly, it's playing, right? It's like remembering that this game is fun to play.
It is, and it is fun to play. Yeah, and also many people get their rules wrong, even at top tier. Like, please don't let the myth of like international competition make you think that people don't get things wrong a lot, because they do. And that's not meant to be a dig or an insult. I'm just saying, as someone who has traveled in the top end tournament space of gaming for games which are quote unquote simpler than old world, people make lots of mistakes. Okay, so just to be really clear, so you know, go out there.
If only there was a place. If only there was a place where you could see real tournament games being played by real
players.
Gamers.
I do love that. Yeah, we do have because the FAQ dropped. I ended up putting all of the 5 bat reps that we have done. They're on Patreon, and they're also on YouTube membership. And they're available to go watch if you'd like to watch them. And those are the long format ones, still edited ones to come next week. But this weekend, I have another Old World event, and hopefully we're going to do Cathay. So we're going to get Toby to hopefully to get his Cathay out. This is all hopefully, because I've got to like sort numbers out and whatever. And then we'll see what they look like in the new updated version of the new world, which I think could be exciting and fun. And then put them out there as well. So that'll be cool.
And I have some follow-up questions. What, like you asked about Renegades. Again, Renegades, basically last time sat in draft format for too long. I didn't publish it. So like, let me make a pledge here that in the next couple of weeks, by end of February, the draft will be up and then finalized in March for sure.
Perfect.
Because this did take a little while to get to us. We want to do it right. I mean, that's what made Renegades the first time around work really well. There's a lot of stuff that was stewed on for a very, very long time, and I'm at that degree of stewed at this point. And I've been making my way through a lot of feedback already. So I think that's that timeline. What about SBC? What about the square-based comp?
I think we should wait a week, let everything kind of like formulate in our heads, and then and you're not here next week, so in a couple of weeks we should put that out. There's nothing I read here that makes me think anything needs to be moved too much for now.
All of the only tweaks in my head are just the same tweaks I wanted to make before this, so that's cool.
Yeah,
so it's not an alarming amount of stuff.
No. Which also I think is that thing that basically a lot of the community want. Don't do a lot. If you watch our YouTube video from the last time, people are like, I don't want big changes. I don't want you to shake it up. I don't want you to. There's a lot of room in the game, and they are releasing new stuff. We've got Peasants coming soon for Cathay. That can mix it up. Then there's probably going to be
new Army of Infamy. There's a new Army of Infamy.
Yeah. So like, there's lots happening, right? So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. But this has been everything we've done so far. Bat reps going up online, SBC coming, Renegades coming. I'm working on a new tournament pack for, I did the Rivers Land event. I'm running one of those. Val and me are going to get together and do definitely a siege. You know it. Siege Castle. Siege. He's doing the reveal. Holy shit, it's a reveal. Where? There it is.
It's there.
It's there. So we'll make some packs for that as well. Maybe a new foray pack as well coming soon.
Well, we should at least do an errata for the foray pack
for sure.
Because there is this thing called Battle March or whatever. I don't know what people keep confusing foray with Battle March. It's weird.
Whatever, our name is better. But we're going to be doing that. But let us know in the comments below what you think. Thank you to everyone for the support and love. You've all been the best. We'll see you all soon. Goodbye from us. Goodbye.